Hello and welcome back everyone to the video series dedication on MTV that is asking, what is a prime number? That's right, we're talking about The Challenge Season 39 Battle for a New Champion Episode 14, and there's some things that I really liked about this episode, like the mini final, like seeing CT, and then there's things that I majorly didn't like about this episode, and we'll get to them as we go through this review and recap. Let's first start off where last episode left off, and that was Kyland winning against Brad and coming back to the challenge house. Kyland is very happy, and he is deemed by James as the champion slayer. Someone else who is pretty happy with themselves is Colleen, who states that she thinks she's in a pretty great spot in this game. A bold claim made by somebody who was nominated by some of their own alliance members like 2 episodes prior, and who just got confirmation from Jay last episode that you are indeed at the bottom of your alliance. You're like one Zara and or Raven win in a daily challenge to be nominated again. But sure, yeah, you're in a great spot. But hey, I guess that's the kind of strategy you expect from somebody who lost the mole. We move to a conversation between Asaf and Jay, who are just 2 businessmen doing business things. Asaf is pretty bold on himself and where he stands in the game, calling himself, quote, the master of ceremony, and goes as far to say that he and Jay want an Emmy if they can both make it to the final together. I don't really think that's how Emmys work, but okay. And then we get to a conversation between Emmanuel, Mariah, Jay, and Michelle, who are not too happy that Kyland won the elimination. We even hear from Emmanuel, who is not here for popularity, but is here to win the money, so he's trying to play an under-the-radar game and trying to stay low-key, which I have to say, you're doing a great job on all fronts. You're staying under the radar, you're staying very low-key, and trust me, you're not very popular when you're not getting any camera time. We move on to the next day, where Nerys likes Horacio and Kyland, but wants to stay with Jay, so she's kind of getting pulled in 2 different directions. We hear from Olivia that she is now leaning towards being in the alliance with Horacio, Nerys, and Kyland, which I feel is a little odd with the edit that we were just getting the last 2 episodes where Olivia was questioning where Horacio's head was at. Could she even trust Horacio? And now here she is saying that she's now feeling like she wants to be in the alliance with them instead of Michelle and Jay. I feel like we're missing some context, but we're going to put a pin in that for now because it's time for everybody to don their challenge gear, head down to meet up with TJ for this week's daily challenge, which is a mini final called Off in the Distance. This will be ran in teams of 4, where they have to grab a carry stick. They have to complete 3 checkpoints, collect 4 puzzle bags at each checkpoint. Once they collect all their puzzle bags, bring it to their puzzle station and complete the puzzle. The first team to do all of this will win into power and win into safety. Let's go over the teams real quick. In Team 1, we have Berna, Coriel, Emmanuel, and Raven, who are on the turquoise team. The yellow team is made up of Colleen, Jay, Ed, and Nerys. The orange team is made up of James, Kyland, Michelle, and Mariah. And the blue team is made up of Asaf, Horacio, Olivia, and Zara. This was quite interesting of a mini final, where it really tested everyone's teamwork ability, communication, as well as endurance. And let's just say some people rose to the occasion and some people flopped on the ground. We get to checkpoint 1, where the teams have to saw off the puzzle pieces from the rope and then carry it back to their puzzle station. The team to leave this checkpoint in first place was the blue team. I mean, a team made up of Asaf, Horacio, and Zara are in peak physical condition. Olivia was trying to keep pace and she was doing a really great job. I almost felt that this was like a little bit of redemption in the beginning because Horacio and Olivia were paired up in this mini final and they were doing an incredible job. The blue team as a whole was just leaving everybody in the dust. Leaving this checkpoint in second place was the turquoise team, then the orange team, and yellow was falling way behind. Thanks in part to Colleen, who was having a really difficult time sawing her rope, getting her puzzle bag she was getting so frustrated. I mean, a lot of the competitors, especially myself included, thought that Colleen could run laps around a lot of these competitors. But when it came down to it, she was easily getting frustrated. Once they got from the first checkpoint and were in dead last place, Colleen fell to the ground, just exhausted. I mean, we saw a couple of competitors getting gassed, but at least those competitors were in like first and second place, giving it their all and getting results from it. Seeing Colleen fall on the ground, exhausted, being in last place after the first checkpoint is alarming. But like in sports, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Coming into the second checkpoint, the blue team was way out ahead. They got to the checkpoint and finished the checkpoint before other teams even arrived. Like pure domination. However, when it came down to the third and final checkpoint, math was involved. And let's just say, for the blue team, math isn't their strong suit. I mean, just counting these squares is difficult. Well, blue team's lead quickly evaporated. As other teams arrived, the yellow team, who was way out in last place, because they have Ed, who is an engineer, who is a secret genius, as he claims, gets this code, and they get their puzzle bags and are quickly in first place. Then Kyland was able to get the code for his team, jumping into second place. The turquoise team gets their code, and blue is way behind. Back at the puzzle stations, the yellow team and the orange team are putting in their stacks. Now, the yellow team feels like they got it. However, when you take a look at their stacks, you can clearly see that not all the stacks are the same height. I mean, Jay is over here saying, "Blow that whistle, TJ. That's right, another mini final." Harkening back to season 36's mini final that Jay and Teresa won. But lo and behold, their towers are off, leaving the door open for the orange team, who has a secret weapon, and that is Michelle, who has won multiple stacking competitions on Survivor, very similar to this. They were able to pull out this win, this come from behind win. That means the scapegoats of Kyland and James are safe from going into this week's elimination, the final chaos elimination. So now the pressure is on for the four of them to nominate one man. The first name to be brought up was from Michelle, who said Horacio's name. Kyland tries to push back, but it's 3-1, and so Horacio is nominated, and before they head back to the challenge house, there is this argument that happens between Nurys and James, and Nurys is really upset because they're just nominating the same person over and over again, and that person just so happens to be Nurys's boyfriend in the house. Well, coming back to the challenge house, Michelle and Olivia are counting votes on where the house vote will go. It's either going to be Emmanuel or Ed. It just depends on certain key votes and if people can rely on people voting for who they say they're going to vote for. Well, we're going to put a pin in this because we go to the bar where Asaf is trying to get some assurance from Nurys that even though she is hanging out a lot with Horacio and Kyland, that she still has his and the other members of the Fantastic Four and are still riding with them. Nurys tells Asaf yes, but inside she's like, "You're nominating my dude." It's getting really difficult to lock in with y'all when we don't have the same priorities. Michelle then tries to talk with Horacio, kind of putting the blame on him for her nominating him. "Oh, because you have this view of me that we're going up against each other and that I've always wanted you out," when that is not the case. That has never been the case. But you don't really talk with me, and because you have these feelings, now I feel like I have to go and send you in. I loved Horacio kind of stepping back going, "I've never said your name. I've never made a move against you. But here we are. You made a move against me. So what's done is done. You're on one side and I'm on my side." We go back to the challenge house where Ed is feeling a little paranoid. He feels a little bit distanced. Earlier on in the season, his name was coming up as possibly being the house vote, and he's feeling that way again. Mariah is talking with Michelle, feeling like maybe they can't really truly trust Olivia, and Michelle starts to break down, feeling like this all has something to do with Jay. Last episode, Jay was spiraling a little bit, and with Jay's antics, it's kind of put lines in the sand with certain players, like Horacio and Kyland, and because there's some confrontation with them, That puts some lines up between Nerys and possibly Olivia now. It puts a lot of pressure on the entire house because we get to the nomination. And boy, was this the best nomination ceremony of the season so far. It only took 14 episodes and people to get very upset with their alliance to get the fireworks started. We get down to the vote and it's a tie between Emmanuel and Ed. They decide they're going to do a revote and go the opposite way, and this is where we're playing a game of chicken. And Coriel is the first person to say, I'm changing my vote. I'm gonna vote for myself. So Coriel would rather burn a vote on himself than to leave it in TJ's hands. Well, waking up this morning, Ed chose chaos. And it comes down to him. I mean, it is 5 Emmanuel, 5 Ed, and 1 Coriel. Ed could have taken the easy way out, voted for Emmanuel, sent him in, while Ed was looking around going, I could tie this thing up again. He did. I loved it. Leaving it a tie, 5 for Emmanuel, 5 for Ed, 1 for Coriel, and 1 for Jay. Ed said, if you want to say my name, I'm going to make you all squirm. And this leads to a very fun meeting after this because the people who voted for Emmanuel were Raven, Zara, Ed, Nerys, Olivia, and Horacio. And majority of those people kept their votes on the revote. So a meeting happened afterwards where it was Michelle, Mariah, Olivia, Nerys, and then Jay eventually came in. But it was really funny because Michelle is talking very loudly. I'm not mad, but because you two voted the way that you did, now our number one Jay is in trouble. And it just makes me laugh that she was like, I'm not mad. I'm going to talk at a very high tone that sounds like I'm very annoyed with you. Well, we get to the arena where Horacio is the only person to join TJ down on the arena floor. TJ is very disappointed with everybody that they couldn't come up with a decision. And he tells them that you do not want your fate in the game in these hands. They didn't leave it in just TJ's hands, but they left it in CT's hands, who comes out swinging the Chaos Club, meaning there is no draw. Because they couldn't come up with a decision because it ended in a draw. The decision is all CT's to make, that he can choose anybody but James and Kylan to pick out of who he wants to go up against. Honestly, I got goosebumps watching CT walk out into the arena, swinging that Chaos Club, and not only that, but he makes the comment that he wants to knock off some rust and see what he's got to do in preparation for season 40. Basically, CT is confirming that he wants to and is hoping to be on the very next season, in season 40. He makes that comment that I just said, as well as at the end of the episode, he says, see you soon, Teach? And TJ said yes. This is the best feeling I've had, knowing that CT wants to be back for season 40 and is preparing to be back. I cannot wait. I'm so looking forward to season 40, but before we can get to all of that, let's go to CT's decision. He makes some small talk with Horacio, asking how did he get down here? Horacio says, I didn't do anything. There's people that keep on sending me down over and over again because they're kind of scared of me. And CT's like, yeah, I've had that in my challenge career too. You know what? I'm gonna give you the night off. And Horacio gets to run back up and join everybody else. And CT is going down the line, spies Jay, says that he already went up against Jay and Jay beat him fair and square, so he's not gonna choose Jay. The only person that he really doesn't know up there is Asaf. I find it very interesting that CT chose to go up against Asaf, who they were both on season 35 with each other, but haven't been on a season with each other since. Asaf seems very eager to go up against CT. Well, he has his chance in the mind grind elimination, where the players are going to have to push a wheel, a very heavy wheel, around in a circle, and then push it up to reveal a math equation that they have to figure out. Be the first person to figure out the math problem, and you win. Now, before we get into the elimination, there is a moment where Nerys, upon Jay not being chosen by CT, goes to try to give Jay a hug, and Jay basically brushes her off and tells her to get away from him, essentially blaming Nerys for Asaf being down in the elimination. It's not like 5 other people voted for Emmanuel. It's not like her one vote was the lone vote that ensured all of this. Jay is in his feelings and is taking it out on Reese. And now let's get to the elimination, which, yes, is another puzzle. And I have to say, I don't know which elimination was more boring between this one or Devin and Callum counting things. I mean, seriously, a majority of this elimination is just 2 guys staring at a poll and looking at numbers. I get it. You want to have equalizers. You want to have puzzles. This was just blah. This was one of the worst eliminations in my opinion. And it didn't help that Asaf didn't know what a prime number was. He was getting as much help from the stage as possible, from Kyland, from Ed, from Jay yelling, "Let's go!" All of that did not matter, as the math wizard of CT was able to easily win this elimination, lock in 10K, and send Asaf home. With the announcement that CT won and Asaf was eliminated, that's when everybody basically up on stage started to cry. Just kind of proving that Asaf was really connected and bonded with a lot of people in the game. I really feel like this could have a major ripple effect in the game, from Jay going on a revenge tour and spiraling. Maybe this could split up Michelle and Jay from working so close with each other, because Michelle sounded like she wasn't a fan of Jay and the way he was handling certain confrontations in the house, and I think this is just going to make things worse. Some of the players that were connected with Asaf and who maybe were connected at the bottom of the alliance could really start to now splinter off into other alliances, and maybe some people will find themselves over on the other side with Kyland and Horacio. I don't know, but that's where this episode ends, with TJ telling everybody to stay on their toes and that we are danger close to the final. What'd you think about this episode? Let me know down in the comment section below. What'd you think about the daily challenge? What'd you think about the mini final? And who do you think is toast when it comes to the actual final? Let me know down in the comment section below. What'd you think about the elimination? What'd you think about the elimination game? Were you happy to see CT? What'd you think about Ed forcing a tie? Ed, I want to give him the MVP of this episode just for ensuring that it was going to be a tie and giving CT the Chaos Club right away. No draw, just give it to CT. I loved it. I actually really loved it. But what did you think about it? Let me know down in the comment section below. Let me know anything and everything you felt about this episode down in the comment section below. I now want to give a special shout out thank you to everyone who supports me over at patreon.com/angelcakevids. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who's watching this video up to this point. I'll be back really soon with more Challenge 39 content, more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.